Alright guys, hey, and welcome back to the channel. This is Red Shadow, and this time I'm gonna kind of do a vlog, excuse me, about the X-Files. And this is just probably going to be in my standard vlog series where I tend to go back and forth between personal stuff and thoughts about gaming and TV and everything else. Whenever I do have thoughts about them that I want to record and throw out there. So I'm putting this video out, and hopefully it won't go too long. Once again, I'm always concerned about talking too much, and then I talk too much. But I'm putting this out because I continue to see discussion and debate and feelings from people in regards to the X-Files, and especially the two revival seasons that we got in 2016 and 2018, I believe. So now we're already looking at 5 and 7 years ago, and we haven't gotten any more X-Files, any resolution or closure to the series. The most I can say we've gotten, even in terms of news from like Chris Carter and the like, about continuing with the series, is that David Duchovny is on board, but Gillian Anderson has pretty much said she's done, unless, I do believe she's been quoted as saying, brand new writers, Chris Carter and the people who've been writing for the show, to not be writing it. Fresh writers, fresh perspective, perhaps, I don't know. But I hear a lot of folks in the X-Files community, and in particular the big X-Files Facebook group that I'm a part of, who keep saying recast, reboot, do this thing or do that thing. There has been recent ruminations of the gentleman who was responsible for the Black Panther movies, Ryan something or something Ryan. I honestly forgot that had been going around here recently until I sat down to do this, so I didn't look up to see the guy's name. Oh wait, Ryan Coogler? I think that's his name. I've seen Black Panther and I liked it. I have not seen Wakanda Forever yet, but I will eventually. But I know the guy's got a good pedigree. I know he's done other movies. So I'm going to just take that bit of knowledge and shelve it over here to the side, because we don't know exactly what's going on with that. That news came out and around the same time that they said that the animated series that was going to come along was going away. It wasn't going to happen. I'm like, thank goodness for that. I did not want some snarky animated show being put out for the X-Files. They did it with Star Trek, and I'll be honest with you, I won't watch it. I don't plan on ever watching it. I have no interest in some sort of like adult animated humorous rendition of Star Trek, and I don't want to see that for the X-Files either. So I'm glad that that's done. But as I was saying, my initial point here was that these X-Files groups are pumping out a lot of similar opinions. Like I said, bring it back, reboot the series, new characters, or whatever. Some people are saying just take it in a new direction, do something completely new with it. I don't want to see or even think about any of that kind of stuff. To me, it's not the X-Files with at least Fox Mulder, but you can't have the X-Files with only Fox Mulder if you're not addressing the alien conspiracy, the government cover-ups, the core mythology of the series as it was. So the thing I was thinking about today that made me want to sit down and do this video was an idea that I've been thinking of. I thought about it. I think I really first started to give it some serious thought last year, perhaps even the year before, when I wrapped up my most recent watch through of the entire series. That enabled me to see season 10 for the second time and 11 for the first time. I had an idea of what I would like to see happen with the show, and it would kind of help facilitate where Gillian Anderson said she was basically done. In my version of the show, she would still come back here and there, but it would mostly be David Duchovny coming back as Fox Mulder, and what the show would do is it would pick up after the events of the 11th season finale, where basically, spoilers if you haven't seen any of it, so don't go any further in this, because there will be spoilers. But at the end of the season 11, we saw a cigarette-smoking man getting killed, supposedly killed, but nobody really dies on the X-Files. And we see William, Scully and Mulder's son. I still hold that he is biologically both of theirs, and he's not the cigarette-smoking man's son, as has been suggested, or was even displayed or put forth on the TV show, perhaps. But he is their son. But he is gone. He is on the run. He's being pursued. Whatever the events were, I don't really remember it clearly, because it was just sort of like, hey, I got some more X-Files. Interesting. They didn't give me the closure with the alien conspiracy and invasion that I wanted, but I'm interested in knowing what would happen after season 11. So, in my season 12, Mulder is trying to find his son. He is trying to be as analog about it as he can, so he's not cell phoning, he's not interneting, he's trying to be as analog as possible. He's trying to read newspaper things, he's doing the old Inquirer thing, he's going out into the world to try to figure out where his son is, and as he goes to these places where he hears something that would suggest that maybe his son had been there due to his son's abilities or whatever, due to the alien DNA or whatever the explanation was for how he could do the things he could do. He goes to towns, he goes to places, and he says, have you seen this boy? What has happened? Where has he gone? They help him or they don't help him. But as he goes along, it's sort of and bear with me here when I say this, it's sort of a Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated type thing, where they say, but hey, wait, do you know about this stuff, paranormal stuff, supernatural stuff, alien-related stuff, unexplained mysteries and whatnot? And he says, well, I used to be an FBI agent, or he doesn't, and he just says, yes, I have some experience with it. And each episode becomes, I haven't watched the original Kolchak, I just watched that Night Stalker remake that happened in the mid-2000s, but I feel like it would be kind of similar to that. Sort of like a reporter or somebody who investigates things going around and looking into things. And Mulder's experience, his years and years with the FBI, and handling these kinds of things, he would go to these towns and they would say, well, we have a Yeti, or we have a lake monster, or we have an alien, or we have a ghost. And then he would look into those things. It would be very much like, unfortunately, one of my complaints with some video games is like, you have to go save the world, you have to go rescue this thing, you have to go take care of this monumental goal, and along the while you're going to get pulled over here and pulled over to there and pulled over to this thing to help. You're going to get distracted from your main point to help somebody with this. It's side quests, it's whatever. But I just think it would be kind of a fun way to continue the series on, without it having to be any kind of a serious thing. I feel like it's the kind of thing where you could still do a few humorous episodes, but also always have Mulder going to the next place, trying to track down his son, helping these people with a mystery that needs to be taken care of in whatever way. It doesn't always necessarily have to be solved. A lot of the cases on the X-Files weren't ever truly solved. And this would be the same kind of deal. And by the way, I wanted to make sure I pointed out, no 6-episode, 10-episode, 12-episode bullshit seasons. 20 to 25 episodes, baby. I want the whole entire full gamut of standard traditional TV seasons, and not all this new streaming crap, the way that the streaming stuff does it, the way that premium cable channels do it. I don't want these seasons distilled down into a handful of episodes. Give me everything. I also wanted to make sure I pointed out, I thought that this would be like a 2-season deal, and the first season would have Mulder trying to find his son, going to these different places for an episode and taking care of some sort of a situation, or contributing however he can, getting his next little clue or bit of evidence to suggest where William is, and then the next episode he's moved on to the next place. Maybe you get some two-parters where something is really big. Maybe you get some two-parters where it's, like mythology style about his son. But I thought it would be really cool if on the first of these 2 seasons finale, he finds William. They're together. There'll be something dramatic and there'll be a cliffhanger ending. But when we go into the 13th season, when we go into this second season of 2 that I'm thinking about, they're now together but on the run. They're still being pursued by the government, the FBI, the aliens, a new syndicate, a new whatever. But now they're together, and now Mulder can solve these mysteries. He can still go to these towns, because by this point in a 20 to 25 episode season, there is some sort of a small reputation that's there. I know if he gets a big reputation for what he's doing, he gets back on the radar of the people who are trying to find him. They're going to be trying to find him anyway. Him being analog and trying to stay off the grid, so to speak, is just for the sake of this pursuit of trying to find his son. But they're still going to know that he's out there and are still going to be pursuing him. So by the time that he and his son are together, maybe there is this underlying reputation for Mulder and solving these mysteries and whatnot. And so now he's with his son, and people are trying to reach out to him in certain ways. And he's still going to try to solve these little mysteries, but now he's also trying to figure out how to protect his son. But I also want them to address the deal between how William is important when it comes to the alien invasion, the government conspiracy, and all that. Because if they go for 2 seasons, or if it went for more than that, I would hope it wouldn't go too long, though. They really should just make it entertaining, make it fun, but then bring the whole entire series to closure. Fuck all that reboot crap. To hell with a brand new pair of agents trying to carry on in Mulder and Scully's footsteps. That's not going to work, in my opinion. You just have to let the natural story progress to a conclusion. And even if at the end of all of this, Mulder and Scully, Mulder and his son, Mulder by himself, is still investigating paranormal and supernatural and alien related things, if the very end of it isn't just cheesy, grinning, happy family and everything's A-okay, even if there's still things out there to discover and mysteries to solve, unsolved cases to take on or whatever, I would be happy with that, as long as they just addressed the core mythology of the show by the end of this. Also, by the way, I didn't really fully explain the Scully stuff. I just feel like if Jillian was up for it, and if she wanted to make sparse and sporadic appearances in those 2 seasons, a couple episodes on each season, that would be fine. Just to sort of be there as mom, as a mom who's concerned about her son and concerned about Mulder and their safety and all that. It would never have to be anything major. Maybe she would factor in really well on the season finale of the 12th season and the series finale on the 13th if it only goes 2 seasons, or whatever the case may be. Maybe that would be the kind of thing. This is not going to happen. I'm just pitching something here, but I am trying to take into account the real world stuff that we've heard about how she was ready to step away and didn't really seem to want to have anything to do with the series unless it was new writers and new perspectives. I feel like there was something else I wanted to make sure I talked about. I do think it would be fun to have the occasional appearance by, like, say, Mitch Pileggi as Skinner. Maybe you still work out some way to have the lone gunman show up in dreams, or in a creative way, the way Langley showed up in that one particular episode in the revival seasons. Krychek was one who I was surprised that we didn't see. Yes, we know he's dead, he's shot in the head, yada yada yada. But it would be really cool to see him just brought back in some way. And then, of course, there is the one major omission, and of course Reyes's character was handled in a very interesting way, and a lot of people didn't seem to care for that. I wasn't the biggest fan, but it was nice to have her back. But it would also be cool to see Robert Patrick come back as Agent Doggett, to see some closure for his character, because we didn't get to see him come back in these 2 extra seasons that we got, and that was just down the timing. I think it was reported, or I read it somewhere, that maybe he had no interest, but then I read later on that he was interested in coming back to it. It just so happened that he was doing other projects, and it just didn't allow him the opportunity to come back for those 2 extra seasons. I think those are just things that I want to see happen to continue to offer closure for characters and for fans and all that, but no closure can be achieved without wrapping up the storyline. So I think have this fun thing where Fox Mulder is chasing after his son, solving these mysteries, and maybe trying to achieve knowledge and meaning into William's existence, the importance that was placed on William when it came to the alien invasion, how he was going to be able to help stop that. Does he stop it on his own? Does he figure out some way to make all kinds of human beings unlock their alien DNA or their potential, or whatever it is that he's experiencing? Like, the possibilities are endless, of course, but I just want to know, man. I just want to have that. I'm almost 50 years old. That show came along when I was right around about 20. It's 30 years of... Technically, I didn't get into it until around 98 or 99, but still, we're looking at 25 to 30 years. My favorite TV show of all time, and I don't have resolution. I just want resolution, and I want it to be done well. I don't want them to come back. This would be my one complaint about Chris Carter. Chris Carter did become a little bit of a George Lucas to the X-Files franchise, as George Lucas did to Star Wars. I don't think that he needs to be involved, but it felt like everything about those 2 seasons were done for the sake of, we gotta make more. We have to have more. We have to have a 14th season, or excuse me, we have to have a 12th season and a 13th and a 14th and a 15th. Let's have another long run of this. No, don't. It's not going to work. You need to give the people who love the show and have waited all these years for more, you need to give them some closure and some resolution. You can have new fans come in. They can watch what was there. If they find it interesting, they can go back and watch the old stuff. Make sure that X-Files is on a streaming service here in the US or something like that, and let them watch where it came from. But don't try to butter them up for like another 7 or 9 or 10 seasons down the road. It's not going to happen. Everybody's getting older, including Chris Carter himself. The sensibilities for the show are older. I think that was one of my problems with the most recent seasons. If I really could pluck something out of there, it was that they took the X-Files idea, which was a very 90s idea, and then they tried to doctor it up with all of today's, the internet and the post 9/11 world and, all this kind of stuff. And they tried to turn it into that. They should have just tried to continue to tap into the old. You could still make 90s style X-Files with today's CG and today's special effects, and still incorporating things like the internet and all these different things that are here today. I think there were glimpses of that in the 2 seasons that we did get, and I don't know so much that my idea is doing that. I think my idea might actually be taking from the 70s and 80s more than the 90s. But I just thought that would be the perfect way to have Mulder back full-time, because David Duchovny said he would do it. Gillian Anderson there, here and there. I'm sure she'd be willing to show up for little things here and there if it wasn't a big time commitment. She could still do other projects. We get William there because he was set up to be a pivotal part to the resolution that I'm looking for, and then we get the resolution that I'm looking for, and maybe you get some fan service, like I said, by having Skinner in there, having Krychek return in some way, having the gunman come back, other characters. I would love to see other characters in there. I would love to see Marita Covarrubias. I would love to see Mr. X. Like I said, I know some of these characters are dead, but it's the X-Files. They can come back in some way. Yeah, well, I guess that's about it for this rambling madness about the X-Files. But, man, I would really just love to see this show. I would love the idea of, like, it just dawned on me. In the X-Files, there's several occasions when Mulder is, like, off with the FBI suit, on with the jeans and like the hiking gear and a backpack, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to go into Russia. I'm going to go across this Air Force base, miles and miles across to get to a base. I'm going to go up into the woods and investigate this thing. I'm going to go out to Alaska, and I'm going to do this. Like, he was constantly going off the grid, so to speak, in pursuit of cases. They could make a show out of that idea. He doesn't have to be coming out of a field office. He doesn't have to be in the iconic I Want to Believe poster in the background office. He could just be out and about in the world trying to find his son. And you could have something adventurous. You could have something where you could do the occasional humorous episode. Those could still be done. You could do all of this kind of stuff, and well, like I keep saying, just give some of us some closure. Alright, well, that's it for this vlog. Thanks for watching if you did, and we'll talk to you later.